Okay, this is PDAC 2023. We are here with James Torek from Element79 Gold. We've been talking about the company a while back, but they had some interesting news out recently. To start us off though, I would ask James to give us a short rundown of what the company is all about.
Sure thing, thank you. Element79 is a gold mining company. We are focused on bringing into production a previously producing high-grade gold and silver mine that in the past it was yielding 19 grams per ton, and at 150 tons per day it was yielding between 40 and 50,000 ounces of production, which is a fantastic near-term cash story.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's talk about that, because the last time we did an interview over Zoom, we weren't able to talk in person there. You talked about focusing more on focusing, because you had such a big project, or have such a big project portfolio, especially in Nevada. But you also focused, let's say, in Peru. That is, you had 2 projects there, and just decided to give one back, let's say.
Sure. When I talk about focusing, what I mean is that, if I have 15 minutes to speak to an investor, an investment banker, or really just, tell our story properly, it's very difficult to talk about a portfolio of 20 properties. These properties were all acquired with the strategy of enhancing the value of the company first, so that we could get to the acquisition of these near-term cash flow properties. And in such, growth, on one hand,
doesn't matter.
I've
just start over.
Yeah. So the strategy to acquire the portfolio that we have, it was based on the fact that we wanted to kind of increase the value inside the company, make sure that we actually had a resource. We acquired 20 properties, one of which we call our flagship. It's Maverick Springs. It's got a 3.71 million ounce inferred gold equivalent resource on it, which is actually 1.37 million ounces of gold with 278 million ounces of silver. It was exciting to acquire that because it justifies value inside the company, and it also gives a lot of running room for the blue sky upside that a lot of juniors aspire to have. But also in a less dilutive fashion, we were able to acquire, instead of selling the vast majority of the company to acquire these previously producing high-grade gold and silver mines in Peru, we were able to do it with only selling about 20% of the company for the acquisition. So it was, we saw this as a smarter financial strategy to enhance and retain further value for our investors.
So now you're focusing on Lucero.
Lucero,
it's called, and tell us a bit more about that. You also had some results out recently from some samples you took, but as you've been already saying, there's been historic production. Tell us a bit what you have there and what are your plans.
Sure thing. The Peruvian acquisition was actually 2 properties, one of which we just handed back in terms of deciding to focus our energy more specifically right on Lucero. Now, Lucero as a land package is 10.8 thousand hectares at the top of a mountain. It's 26,000 acres. So it gives us a massive opportunity for not just bringing the previously producing mine into production, but also for, again, we've identified a very attractive high sulfidation and likely porphyry target for exploration. So we can look at both generating cash flow from the 74 veins at surface. Of those, 14 have been explored, at least rudimentarily, and then 7 were only used for all that commercial production that I've discussed. The point of which is that there's a lot of running room to acquire, I should say, to generate, revenue, number one, but also that, blue sky upside of developing a resource on that same property. It's quite exciting to have both in the same package.
That's certainly true. So that takes care of Peru, let's say. Well, although of course you still have a lot of work to do there before the cash flow starts coming in, hopefully. But then, of course, you alluded to the Nevada portfolio and your flagship project. You have a resource there, and I think you envisioned it newly so that you now have the opportunity to have a bigger resource on it.
That's right.
What are the next steps there? What kind of work are you planning to do?
Sure thing. To speak about, increasing focus, when we acquired the Nevada portfolio, it was kind of an all or nothing deal. We wanted Maverick Springs, which at the time had a historical resource of 1.8 million ounces of inferred gold. Now the value add that we created with that is that we reimagined it under the new 43-101 rules, where we looked at it from the perspective of a pit. So the open pit or whittle pit model allows us to not just use looking at what was originally an underground mine to get that 1.8 million ounces, but also incorporate all of the strip over the top strata in the the process of getting to that resource. So as we look forward to enhancing this property further to increase this resource, what we'll end up doing is really spending a lot of time to understand the metallurgy better and what that strip ratio, to see if we can improve the strip ratio. It's currently about 5-to-1. The last work on this property was done in 2014. There was over 48,000 meters of drilling on it, so there's a huge amount of core to go revisit with XRF, as well as to fly over the whole 4,800 acres of the property using magnetic resonance to get a better understanding of the geophysics.
Okay.
Quite exciting.
Quite exciting stuff. Also quite work intensive, capital intensive to a certain extent. Certainly, revisiting the core perhaps not so much because that's work, but flying geophysics. So how are you for cash? What are your needs there?
Okay. The way we funded this company from day one has been both we did some private capital raising prior to the IPO, but we've used a drawdown facility from our financing partners at Crescita Capital. We've drawn down to date 5.6 million. We still have an additional 4.4 million, and we're really using that to fund minimal steps forward. Really about $100,000 a month is what we're drawing from that to keep work plans going, pay some SG&A, pay down some accounts payable, operating a business.
Yes.
At the same time, looking forward to be able to get the Lucero project under production within the next 12 months. We're looking at a budget of $5 million US that we're looking to raise in the near-term future. We're already here at PDAC speaking to several investment banks, private investors, family offices, etc. And through this, we expect to be able to raise this money over the next year, likely in tranches to retain existing shareholder value, but also bring that money in so we can bring this project at Lucero, that being our primary focus, into production in the coming 12 months, in addition to expanding the resource somewhat at Maverick Springs. You'll also see us clean up the balance sheet in terms of some of our accounts payable, and also really divest from some of these properties because, again, they're the core of Lucero, Maverick Springs, and then the rest is kind of non-core. So you'll see some spinouts and some sales. We have several parties in our data rooms right now, so kindly stay tuned.
We will. Thank you very much.